Tanshi, hello. My name is Jaden Hurry, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a digital story about the Cowessess First Nation. I've chosen to talk about this First Nation in particular because it has a lot of relevance to my indigeneity as well as my family and ancestral backgrounds as a Métis person in Alberta. So, Cowessess First Nation is a Sutu First Nation in southern Saskatchewan, Canada. I've included a map for you. And the reserves include a plethora of groups. So we have Cowessess 73, as well as Cowessess 73A. And then we also have the Treaty 4 Reserve Ground 77, and it's also home to 32 other bands. So now I'm going to paint a little bit of a picture of the history of this band or First Nation for you. So the band is named for Chief Cowessess, meaning little child, and it was comprised of a mixed band of Plains Cree and Sutu people. I've included a modern version of their logo for you, as well as one for the Cowessess First Nation, which would have been part of the Plains Cree people, and we're going to talk more about them later. So this band was also home to the Métis, who were known as Plains Bison Hunters, and here's that modern logo for you. So now just to talk about the band and the treaty. So it was initiated by Indigenous and Métis people who were concerned about the declining number of animals which provided them a living. So ultimately, Chief Cowessess adhered to Treaty 4, which is sometimes known as the Qu'Appelle Treaty, in Fort Qu'Appelle in September of 1874. So something interesting is that the band originally selected a reserve near Maple Creek, but the headman, Louis Osoup, led a dissident group that abandoned the Cypress Hills and moved to the Qu'Appelle River Valley. So while several of the band members settled there under Osoup, Cowessess actually stayed there with his followers in the hills until the spring of 1883. So now I'm just going to give a brief overview about my personal connection to this reserve and why I think it's important. So in the top left corner here, this is Osoup, the Chippewa chief that we outlined in the previous slide. In the center here, this is actually Chief Cowessess, and Cowessess is the reserve where my Cookum is from, so this would be her ancestor. And in the top right corner here, this is actually Peter Hurry, and Peter Hurry helped build Fort Qu'Appelle, and then he was one of the first postmasters of Fort Qu'Appelle. So I think it's really interesting just to see the way that my ancestors and my family's ancestors have been together throughout history. One of the most important things, I think, when we approach this assignment is not to divorce the historical context with the present day context. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about the Cowessess Residential School. So this residential school was the Marieville Residential School, and it opened in 1898, and then it was turned into a day school. And my Cookum is actually a survivor of this residential school. And oftentimes we think about residential schools as being closed in 1996. This one actually closed in 1997, which I think talks to a lot of the misinformation we still believe. This school was also part of the 2021 discoveries, and they actually found 751 unmarked graves. So now to give you a snapshot of what we've covered so far. So the treaty signed in 1874. The residential school endured from 1899 to 1997. There is a current population of 4,302, and there are 99,948 acres of land, and it's on Treaty 4. Now we're going to talk about present-day Cowessess First Nation schools. Now known as the Cowessess Community Educational Center, Cowessess Education provides a caring, respectful, and culturally sensitive environment. Its innovative and dynamic programs promote individual excellence and provide opportunities for success. The strong partnerships, professionals, and dedicated staff strive to meet the needs of the communities and it serves. So the school has on-reserve education programs, and they include daycare, Head Start, and kindergarten to grade 12 education. They also believe that the learning should not be just about academics, but that it should address culture, language, history, and tradition. The school has a culture camp for both First Nations and non-First Nations community members, and they work hard at decolonization, indigenization, and community feedback to guide the process of developing an education council and board. The school also offers courses such as drama, industrial arts, art, computers, photography, and provincial and academic curriculum. Something that I find very powerful about this First Nation is the way that it incorporates the four ways of knowing into their school. So they talk about emotional, mental, physical, and social well being. And they also wish to have a reciprocal agreement, which would encourage non band members to attend the school as well. So that's the end of my presentation. Marcy, thank you so much. And I hope you learned a little bit about the Cowessess First Nation and their school boards. And I graciously welcome any questions.